My name is Michael Carroll. We are farming here in County Limerick. We're milking approximately 150 cows, predominantly grass-based system. We're in the thick of springtime now at the moment. As of today, we are just 3/4 ways through our calving. We started, today is the 19th, and we had our third calf on the 18th of January. So we're at the 19th now, so we're a month into it, and we're 3/4 through, so it's going really, really well. We had been out grazing for about two and a half weeks, so we are almost at a third of the farm has been grazed so far. So we're well ahead of schedule. So we're in today now, even though it's not that bad out. We're a predominantly grass-based system. We feed last year in 2024, we fed just over 800 kilos of meal. In 2023, we fed 630. It was a tough year last year. We did about 480 kilos of milk solids last year. The year before we did 500, and the year before we did 530. Just the difference in the year. So at the moment, obviously in the middle of calving, but all the catalogues are out now at the minute for the breeding season, for picking our bulls for breeding season. We've dipped our toes in jerseys a couple of years ago, and a lot of our first-time calvers this year there's a lot of jersey coming through. I think we'll stop now, and we'll see, and when it all settles down in a couple of years, there might be about 10% jersey in the herd. It's just to bring a bit of extra genetics and the hybrid vigour and things like that. So even scanning through our cows, there's a lot of higgledy-piggledy. We've a couple of big cows that we would have crossed with jerseys, and there's smaller cows in of the jerseys that come through. But we're very happy with them. The first cross, they're very good. They're exceptional. We've no complaints with them at all. So at the moment, we are, as I say, picking out the bulls. I spend a lot of time picking out the bulls. I'll have every one of the catalogues out. Personally, I think it's worth it. It's very important to pick out your bulls for going forward. We look at EBI, the milk. I will look at the maintenance figure. I think the maintenance figure is overall in all the catalogues is getting high. Then another one I do as well is I'll also look at the dam and the grand dam and her figures. And if she's not producing as much as our average, or even above average for our herd, then I won't pick her. It's an extra fail-safe that if the genomics fail, or if the genomics go backwards, that at least it was in the pedigree or in the background somewhere that the good genetics and the good milk are in there. It's worth spending the time, and I do spend a lot of time going through it, and it's worth doing it, putting in the effort to it. Even our breeding now, the heifers that have milking this year for the first time, they're predicted to do a 5.1 fat and a 4.1 protein. That's their genetic potential. So if we can match that with the grass and keep them right, we should hopefully be, in a couple of years' time, be a 9% solids herd. That's a target anyway. Also, we're a month into calving now, and we're still on once a day. It's primarily labour. Like, you're up at night calving the cows, and it's just a job list that has to be done. We start milking at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's not that early. When we go to twice a day, we'll start at 7. But it's going exceptionally well this year. For some reason, we're not doing anything different. We have an extra shed, maybe that's making a difference, but our cell count is very good at the moment. Our last test was 48,000, so can't get over it. But the cows are very settled. They're quite happy on the once a day system. We'll do it for 4 weeks. We're starting twice a day next Monday, the 24th, I think. That's when we start our twice a day. But yeah, very happy with it. Very happy with it over the last number of years. It does take a lot of pressure off, and cows are very settled on it. And hopefully the condition stays on them and they go back and calf that bit quicker. That's our main reason for doing it. Another thing we do, we'll say the cows are in now, but in the springtime, all the milking cows will get bales only. They won't get any pit silage. All the bales that we have, they're all from surplus paddocks. So it's just to get the best quality of feed in if we can. There's a bit of extra work in feeding bales, I know, than the pit silage. Pit silage is a lot easier, but it's way better. The quality, there is just no comparison. So we keep them all for the springtime. It just keeps our fats and proteins higher, and when we start higher, we kind of stay higher to keep them higher for the summer going on. But I would big emphasis on that milking cows in the spring, bale silage, surplus paddocks. That's all they get. They don't get any pit silage at all. Oh, and another thing, when we're on the once a day, we're feeding only 2.5 kilos of ration in the parlour. It's another bit of a saving. The yield is back. Obviously, the yield is back. So I'm actually not even sure what they do, because we're kind of on a 3-day collection and cows are building. So I'm not sure what our yield is at the moment. But the 2.5 kilos of ration, when they go to twice a day, we'll be up to 5 kilos in. And we'll cut back to kilo and a half over the course of summer. But there's obviously a big saving in only 2.5 kilos when we're on once a day. Okay, so we have a good bit of grazing done. We're nearly at 1/3 of the farm grazed. We got a good break about 2 weeks ago, and the paddock behind me was one of the last ones to graze, and like there's no damage done. The recovery, just can't get over the recovery in it straight away from having it grazed and clipped off. There was a cover of about 1,400 on it, and it wasn't the first paddock they went to. The first paddock they went to was up there with a small number of cows, and we built it up. When we first went out grazing, we had we 10 or 12 cows is all we had. It's just a rule, as soon as we have 10 cows we get going. It was the day after the storm, actually, Storm Ewan. That's when we went out, and we got out every day after that. But delighted with it. Practically all the farm has gotten about 18 units now of urea, and 10% of the farm has got 2,500 gallons of slurry. The first paddocks that were grazed got the slurry, and these ones have gotten urea. So we're off to a great start, having them done, ready to go. Like, we've put a huge emphasis on grass. It is a good number of years ago when I was doing the green cert, and there's a farmer over in Limerick, John McNamara, and he said you have to make yourself have an interest in grass. You just have to. That's where the money is. And when you look back into it, and I know the prices have changed since, but it's almost like 10, 20, 30. So your grass costs you 10 cents per kilo of dry matter, your silage costs you 20 cents per kilo of dry matter, and your ration is 30 cents, if you're lucky to get ration at 30 cents per kilo of dry matter. So cheapest form of feed is grass. So to get most of that in, as the most of it in as much as you can, it's the cheapest form of feed, and it's simple maths really. Like that's it. So to keep your inputs, your costs down, and get your best quality out, better quality grass you have, then the higher milk solids you have, the better milk check you have, just to keep the gap between what you can get for your milk price and your inputs, keep that gap as big as you can, and that's what you have to take home. We keep about 50 to 60 female calves every year. This year, with the sex semen the way it has gone, we have a lot of replacement heifers. So at the moment we only have 4 beef heifers in here. We'll keep them for ourselves. We'll go to our own butcher to meat for the house. But the heifers are kept over in this shed. We have the feeder, we have the automatic feeder here. This is our 3rd season with it. Very happy with it. It takes huge work out of it. You're looking at the computer and you're just checking out who needs to be looked at. You're just walking through them. As you can see, they're lying down. They're very, very content. Delighted with it. The shed, it was there's a round roof and a lean-to. It's very common, and there was a wall between, and we just knocked it out, and we have the straw at either side, and it's completely open. That is kind of northeast, so there's fresh air coming in here, and yet they're sheltered back where they are. This year, actually, there's a few of them in there. There's a couple of Norwegian Reds, dipped our toes in it a small bit, so we'll see how they go. Never said as well as part of the breeding. When I go to doing the breeding, we split the herd in 2. So you have top half, bottom half. The top half of the herd obviously gets for replacement stock. The bottom half will all go straight to beef. Another small thing we do is the Charlies. We have a couple of Charlies as well, and they're for cows that kind of come in heat very early, almost before we start. We start breeding on the 18th of April. So anything before that's going to beef, we'll put them in calf to Charlies, and we get a good price for the calf. Then they're an early calf and they're in demand. So that's them.
G'day, Ollie here from Kernow Pasture, just doing an on-farm update for how this month has gone on from us. Since last time we were speaking, we've scanned all the cows, done our first scanning. So here in New Zealand, the main aim is to get as many cows to calve in a short period of time to match that spring growth. So a big emphasis for us is our 6-week in calf rate and our empty rate, trying to keep our empty rates low and get as many of these cows to calve within our first 6 weeks as possible. So this year, 78% of the cows scanned 6-week in calf, with our final scan in the next few days to find out our empty rate, which we should be sub 10% of 850 cows being empty for the season on a 10-week block. For us, this is a big driver for profitability. And this season's been a bit of a struggle with trying to put condition on cows, but as they're looking, we're really pleased with how they've gone. Currently we're still milking twice a day, with a bit of a dry spell that we've just gone through the last 2-3 weeks. It's been really dry, so growth rates have been really checked. So the cows are still sitting on doing 1.6, 1.7 milk solids a day. So that's consists of our fat and protein put together, and then all the moisture taken out of the water. So we're paid on how many milk solids these cows can produce. So once again, another real driver to have that crossbred bigger, giving us the high fat and high protein. With the scanning all finished, what we're really focusing for there now is adding condition to these cows and making sure that we're setting ourselves up well for winter and our next lactation. So a big driver there now is a body condition score, wanting to dry cows off at a 4.5 to gain a condition score through winter, and to start stretching out our round length and making sure we can feed these girls enough grass. Another big thing we've been up to there this month is making sure our winter feed has all been harvested. So we've literally just cut our whole crop to self-feed on for the winter, and our grass silage. This was literally done in the last couple of days. We're yet to put some more tires on this pit to keep the pressure down, to help oxidization and that ensiling process. But another big thing what we've been doing there recently is what we have is our calving pad, and all the muck and everything that the cows wintered all on and calved on is now being scraped up, put into dung spreaders and spread back on the ground that the whole crop came from. So it's making sure that we're putting all that nutrient that the cows have taken from the silage and back onto the whole crop ground, making sure that we're putting enough of those nutrients back in the ground. Main thing for us was making sure that this is right. Giving us themselves that we've got to make sure that our wintering is right. We've got to add that body condition score to those cows because we calve so quickly. We want to make sure they're all in good condition. They don't lose too much condition once they calve, and we're on that rising plane back into milking and mating and peak production. As you can see here, a lot of our effluent or liquid is captured in the winter time. That really helps this time of year, being January, February, of when it gets really dry. We can then spread all of that back out onto the ground because we don't have any irrigation down here in Southland, or this farm doesn't. And we can use the rich effluent from the winter to spread back onto our grassland in the summer months to help us get through that peak of the dry, and make sure that we can still graze grass. And keep grass a predominant factor of their diet. Another job that we're ticking off the list this month is we're following the cows with our maintenance fertilizer, which is made up of DAP, trying to put that phosphorus back in the ground, plus we add some sulfate to the mix, but also keeping that nitrogen in there to try and keep grass growing through a drier period of time. The reason we use it this time of year is because we're stretched onto a longer round. giving it more time to work in the ground, letting our clovers grow, and just giving it that extra little bit of time to do its thing, rather than keep grazing fast on a 21 or 24 day rounds. If we can stretch out to a 26 to 30 day rounds, it just gives us time to utilize that nitrogen in the ground for a little bit longer. Cow condition, fairly happy with, in fact really happy with. This is my second herd, my older cows, with my younger cows all spread out there in the distance as well. With grass growth slowing down there this month, we have been buffering cows with silage. So as you can see here, we have it set up that the cows leave the cow shed and come straight onto the feed pad. What we're doing is we are buffering them with 2 kilos of silage a cow. That just helps us take pressure off the grass growth, making sure that we can keep up with demand, with growth being so low. And we feed out both herds onto this pad, and then this pad is all flood washed down when we finish for the day.
G'day all, welcome back to another month. Leading up to, even though it's still summer, we are starting to do some prep for our autumn sowing. So here in Australia, for a lot of us, perennials are still our base, but because we don't have rain over summer, we do lose some perennials as well. So we still, for us especially, we still use some Italians and stuff. So we're currently on the pivot ground, which we haven't watered now for a few weeks, just with running down on water and the dam project that's going on over there. So we've got a contractor here at the moment spraying out these paddocks, which will end up going into an Italian and Appin turnip in hopefully the next couple of weeks. And we'll have some water in the dam, sort of working around that project to get it started. So we'll sow about 30 hectares and get the pivot going onto that, so we can get some early feed going, and that'll be sort of ready to graze by mid-March would be the aim. So yeah, hopefully we haven't had rain here now for bloody God knows how long. And next week forecast is a couple of days of 40 degrees and the rest of the week is mid-30s. So pretty hot week and still no rain forecast. So yeah, it is February, it is the middle of summer, so we'll take the hot weather while we can, because it's bloody cold enough for a lot of the year. So yeah, just some early prep here now, just trying to get things sorted for autumn and ready to start our next sort of growing season. We're into February now, which means we are 3 to 4 weeks from calving. So we drafted these heifers out today. So all these, about 120 here, are in calf to set semen. So they're due to calve from the 1st of March. So we've just started feeding them their transition diet, which is probably not a heap different to what they were getting as dry cows. So their dry cow diet was, half hay, half silage type of thing. This is pretty similar, but we've added 3 kilos of barley and a concentrate pellet, lead feed concentrate pellet, which essentially is, low decad with protein as well in it. Try and get that mixed right. So yeah, these will stay here for 3 weeks. They've also got their second shot of Bovilis S and the Rotavirus Corona, which are the vaccines that we give them. But yeah, really happy with our heifers. We're trying to target, 520, 540 kilos at calving. We're obviously still got some bigger girls like this, but you know, we're really starting to try and target these crossier type of animals that we think better suits our system. So yeah, do have a token Jersey called Daisy. We got 5 Jersey cows that are quiet, and yeah, Daisy was one of the daughters that turned up, so just have something different in the herd. But bit of a corn update. As you can see behind me, it's starting to dry down a fair bit, and if you've been following along, you'd know that we've been waiting for a irrigation pump to turn up. Finally turned up a month ago, so we've got some water on it. You see here we've got an irrigation run, but yeah, it was nearly all but too late. If you look up there further, you can see the crop really sort of drops off through that hill bit where it's really sort of light of dirt. And then back up the top's actually not too bad, but down here, yeah, not bad. Bad size crop, but this is, to be honest, probably some of the best of it. You know, it's well above me, but it's some of the best of probably the whole lot, so it's probably not a really good example. Got a cob here, you know, still what is the best of it, it's still not bad cobs. That's about 16 round, I think, and we're probably at about, you know, milk line 1-ish at the moment, so I'd say we're still, you know, a good couple of weeks off harvest, but just got to try and time it all in that we don't lose too much moisture on the stuff that is actually worse than this. So definitely not our best year for corn. We got 2 inches on, or 50 mil with the irrigator on, so you know, hopefully it does help it fill. But yeah, definitely won't be our best yields. You know, if we do get, you know, 13, 14 tonne, 15 tonne if we're lucky, I'll be pretty happy. You know, there's certainly some crops around that haven't filled at all, and are only doing, you know, 8 or 10 tonne, and there's no, you know, virtually no cobs in them. So pretty lucky to have something. Just a really dry summer we've had, and it's been bloody hot too. So just hasn't been a year for dryland corn. So just to wrap up the video, I just want to give a quick update on where we're at with the project. Next month I'll give a proper overview of, you know, where we started, what we got to, why we've done it, etc. But just thought I'd give a quick one now. So we've just had to cut concrete here. We made a stuff up a couple of years ago when we did concrete this, that we already had some concrete here that was flat. So we made everything flat, but it's a hell of a lot of work, and it's turned into a big issue with cow slipping, trying to clean this. So we're actually going to put what we call yard blasters, so which are water cannons in, to try and clean this flat bit. But I'll explain more in the next video as to why we sort of done that in the first place. And then up here, got the final pour going on today for this feed pad extension. So that'll be, you know, a 70 metre extension, and then the flood washes up the top. So by next month you'll see everything's going on. But this is all on a slope coming down to this point, so that'll be all flood washed with big tanks. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. As I said before, make sure you like and subscribe and whatever to our Insta and Facebook at Dixie Part Dairying. And yeah, any feedback's really appreciated. So hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll see you next month.